Welcome, Vedic mathematics students. Every system has its unique processing techniques. Likewise, Vedic mathematics as well has its unique processing techniques. Here, the artifices of numbers and dimensional frames get unified. 10 place value system and creative boundary of 10 components of transcendental domain together manifest a unified processing format. Transcendence at the origin and takeoff from the boundary are the unique features of Vedic mathematics approach to the manifested creations. Vedic processing techniques are meant for the chase of the functional asht prakarti, eightfold nature, under the superintendence and control of the Creator, Brahm, the eternity. For perfected bliss of these techniques, one is to learn the same. From today, some initial features of these techniques are being taken up. The first illustrative situation being taken up is which takes two number value 3 as 1 plus 2 and 3 space body as a setup of lines and surfaces. 1 raised to power 3 as 1 cross 1 cross 1 as 1, in fact, is a unit of 3 space solid unit. And 2 raised to power 3 as 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to 8. Again, solid units. See, 3 space bodies, solids, accept a 3-dimensional frame of 3 linear axes. And when we approach 3 space in terms of 3 spatial dimensions, then space stands cut into 8 octants and cube gets cut into 8 subcubes. It is this synthetic setup of the cube as 8 cubes being subcubes of the major cube. The value 8 is 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, and value 16 is equal to 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. The value 8 is the transcendental code value of the formulation ek, and value 16 is the transcendental code value of formulation dve. Let us have a pause. Let us revisit these features. These features will indicate the way Vedic mathematics is having its unique technique to process the manifested creations. When in this background, we revisit 2 space body, a surface, a square, as a synthetic setup of quadruple quarter squares, then this surface within 3 space becomes a setup of a pair of faces. And when these pair of faces split, they give rise to a space in between, a three space in between the emergence and manifestation of a cube within the space in between the pair of faces of the surface. One shall again have a pause and have fresh visit to these features and the way these features are being chased. The Vedic mathematics approach here is unfolding its uniqueness for having a visit to the manifested creations. Further in this background, we can well visualize, comprehend, and imbibe the feature as that when in a sequence, the solid between the pair of faces of the surface itself will split. It will lead to the next space body, a four-space body. One can further have a pause here and take note that four space is playing the role of origin of three space. See how this technique is sequentially taking us to the origin of three space, the center of the solids, and this reach from linear order three space body cube to a spatial order four space body as origin is having sequential chain of increased steps, transitions. On the one hand, it is leading to a transition for a space between the pair of faces. Then it is also having a transition from three space as domain to four space as origin. Still further, it is also bringing in the transition for the linear order to the spatial order, and simultaneously this also with the split of three space domain as a split for a three-dimensional frame, leading to a pair of three-dimensional frames of half dimensions of opposite orientations, and the Vedic mathematics adaptation of the script for the values pair 3 and 6 on the one hand and the values pair 2 and 4 on the other hand will further give us insight as to this processing technique. Still further, in this background, we can sequentially project, we can visualize, we can glimpse, we can imbibe as that the sequential next phase and stage transition will be four space as origin, giving place to five space as an origin of origin, or four space as origin of five space emerging. The transition from four space as origin of three space to five space and origin of four space is the reach. One shall sit comfortably and glimpse this reach as a sequential reach of the processing technique being applying here. A step ahead, this phase and stage will take us to six space as origin of five space, in place of 5 space and origin of a 4 space, and 4 space itself as an origin of a 3 space. The 5 space body giving place to the origin and simultaneously having a split for the 5 space domain itself. This will bring us face to face with the synthesis of 3-dimensional frames as a lead to 5 space domain, and simultaneously the synthesis of 3-dimensional frame as a pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions. And it is here where the Vedic mathematics reach of Trishabda, 3 space having 7 geometries range, comes into play. A step ahead, the diagonal plane of the cube and translation of the 4 space as origin of 5 space, 2 space as dimension of 4 space, and all happening simultaneously at the center seat as the origin seat, as the transcendence seat. One shall sit comfortably and be parallel with this reach of the processing technique under progress. Step ahead, the reach at asht prakarti and split of 8 space domain as a pair of 6 space domains as dimensions and 4 space as dimension of dimension, together leading to value 24, parallel with the transcendental code value of the dimensional frame of 6 space, and also as the Purusha. TC value of formulation Purusha is 24. And step ahead, 9 space domain split as pair of 7 space domains as pair of dimensions, and value 5 space as dimension of dimension, leading to value 28, which is the transcendental code value of formulation Brahm. One may have a pause here, and to be further parallel with this processing technique, one may sequentially tabulate, as is on the computer screen, that a reach for 8 space as 24, for 9 as 28, and up till 14 as 48 is parallel with the Mayas Chand from Gayatri to Jagti. One may have a pause here and take note that this is the way the Vedic mathematics processing technique is sequentially taking us to the new features of the technique tools which will come into play at each phase and stage in its own manifestation. Step ahead, when we will glimpse the organization of pair of numbers 8 and 9, 8 as 2 raised to power 3 and 9 as 3 raised to power 2, both together constituting a reflection pair of vertical imaging, and With this, the reflection pairing coordination for the artifices of numbers 1 to 9 will come into play. 0, 1, 110 constituting a reflection pair, the script form of 2 and 5, script form of 3 and 6, script form of 4 and 2, the script form of the swastik pada, Rik as of TC value 5, Yajur of 11, Sam as 15, Atharva as 17, Ayur as 8, Dhanur as 21, Gandharva as 30, Sthapat as 22, Ved as 20, Upaved as 29. All these are the features which emerge sequentially in the chase technique of Vedic mathematics. Step ahead, we can have a revisit to the way a three-dimensional frame can be reached at, beginning with the vertical axis as the first axis and second and third as a spatial axis, and other way around, the pair of axis leading to vertical axis as the third axis, then the formulation 1 as 8 and formulation 3 as well of this value 8. Formulation 2 as formulation 1 plus 3 lead to 2 as 1 and 1 as 2 as the unique pair of units of a spatial order for space. One may have a pass here and be parallel with this transition from a three-dimensional frame of triple linear axis to the spatial order for space, having transition from 1 as 1 single unit of 3 space to 2 as 1 and 1 as 2 as pair of units of creators of space for space. Still ahead, we can revisit the formulations Sagun and Nirgun. The formulation Sagun, which is value 4 plus 14 leads to value 18, and Nirgun 12 plus 14 leads to value 26. One may have a pass here and be parallel with this reach of the Vedic systems for values pair 18 and 26, and the present day comprehension of 18 infinite series of finite groups and 26 party groups. One shall further have a visit to the formulation sum, which means equal, and saw as of TC value 4 and ma as of TC value 10, bring us face to face with how quadruple steps 1, 1, 1 and quadruple steps 1, 2, 3, 4 are of the same format, particularly when 4 plus 10, 14 is the summation value of 4 folds of hypercube 4, the representative regular body of a 4 space. Step ahead, it will be blissful to have a visit to the formulations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and Ekadash for the transcendental code values 8, 16, 8, 12, 15, 10, 14, 11, 17, 10 and 19. One shall sit comfortably and be parallel with this reach of the processing technique of Vedic mathematics as these as mathematical entities and tools are going to be availed frequently. Step ahead, we can be parallel with the formulation Dhruv, Surya, Akash, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi of transcendental code values 19, 13, 8, 13, 14, 8, 25 of summation value 100 and Vedic code values 15, 9, 6, 5, 3, 1, 7 of transcendental code value 46. One shall sit comfortably and be parallel with this reach of the Vedic processing technique. Step ahead, the Vedic processing technique takes us to the flow of a Jyoti from orb of the sun as 7 streams, 3 strips and 1 with a transcendental bridge in between. This transcendental content bridging, this Divya Ganga Parvaha are the features of the Vedic processing technique, and same are to be absorbed, same are to be learned, to be worked with, as these are going to be applied frequently. Step ahead, we can see as to how the pair of distinct entities, when are synthesized with the joint as the third entity and synthetic setup as a single synthesized unit, making it to be 2 units to 3 units to a single unit, a setup of 6 units, and then the 3 units, each of 6 units as value 18 will help us appreciate as to how formulation ek and tre being equal are ultimately bringing in the way sets with operators, with operations are at play in the manifested phenomenon of solar universe. Step ahead, we can have a revisit to the pair of entities 0 and 1 with the value for 0 as 0 plus 0 equal to 0, 0 multiplied by 0 is equal to 0, and 0 plus 1 is 1, plus 0 to 1 is 0, 1 plus 1 is 2, and 1 plus 1 is 1. Taking 0 and 1 as pair of entities, and when we will have the operations as E1 is to E2 is E2, and E2 is to E1 is equal to E1, and also in the reverse, then we will be face to face with the situation of the creators of space, and it is here where from we have to have a takeoff parallel with Vedic mathematics processing techniques. These techniques will take us to a coverage of a domain of reach from first perfect number 6 as Surya, as sun, to second perfect number 28 as Brahm. And in fact, this makes a Vedic system. And in terms of this Vedic system, we will reach at the next perfect number 496, which is Garud, the carrier of Vishnu, and further 4 squares as quarters of a bigger square will lead to structural components 9664, making it to be 25, which is the transcendental code value of the formulation Vishnu, the overlord of 6 space. These initial features of Vedic mathematics processing technique deserve to be learned, deserve to be imbibed, and in terms thereof, we can be parallel with the reach of the Vedic mathematics of the existence phenomenon of our solar universe. Thank you very much.